Everybody, it's Dr. Kristy Taylor. It is another episode here of Ask a Career Coach. I'm excited to come in and speak to you guys tonight. I got some interesting questions coming in, and so I'm just hopping on for a few minutes. I'm going to answer these questions, and then we will continue to celebrate all that we're accomplishing and doing this month in celebration of International Update Your Resume Month. So I have a couple of cool things that I'm going to share with you today. You will see on the screen, we have some upcoming workshops on November the 13th. October the 13th that is happening. And you are definitely invited to come. Okay, so looking out for that. Let's go ahead and get started here. All right, guys, here we are. All right. All right. Hi, everybody. My name is Dr. Kristy Taylor. I'm the founder of Work Solutions, LLC. And each week we try to do something to pour into you and to share our expertise, because we at Work Solutions, we are building out a career ecosystem. And so one of the events that we do is we like to do these Ask a Career Coach, and people submit their questions and then I answer your questions live. So in addition to answering your questions live today, I'm actually going to share with you some great events that I have coming up, and some things will be free or pay as you go, and some of the opportunities we have so that you can continue to build and connect with us over the course of the next coming weeks. Again, we have a lot of different events planned for Ask a Career Coach. International Update Your Resume Month. I just finished 2 sessions of our Beat the Bots workshop this week, where we focused on job descriptions and writing an ATS compliant resume. And then over the next couple of weeks, we're going to rerun those sessions, and we're going to do, starting on next week, tonight we did Beat the Bots 1, which was writing an ATS compliant resume. On next week, we'll do Beat the Bots Part 2, which is reading a job description, right? And then the last part of that series, we're going to focus on helping you to really understand how to navigate ATS systems. We're going to test out some different systems and see how they work to help you to better understand what is the best approach for submitting your resume to those systems. So it is a jam-packed month. And so I'm excited to jump in and see what questions were submitted for us today. So up on the screen, you're going to actually see a QR code, because I'm going to make this a little larger. But on October 13th, we are doing it all again. If you joined us on September 1st, we had an awesome all-day event where we focused on resume writing, LinkedIn optimization, and helping you to do your career pivot. We ran our workshop, the 90-minute career pivot. And we're going to actually do that again on October 13th. And this time we're going to have a different series of workshops. And so starting on October 13th at 9:00 a.m., we're going to have our Transition Like a Pro workshop, because some of you may be going through a career transition and you're trying to figure out your next steps. How do I leverage those skills that I have to maybe move to a different type of role, or maybe a totally different sector? So that's what we're going to talk about in our 9:00 session. And then from 11 o'clock to, so that is actually from 9 o'clock to 10:30. Okay. So then from 11 o'clock to 12:30, we're going to do our masterclass, and then on LinkedIn, which is super popular. And then from 1 o'clock to 2:30 on that day, we're going to do our Pace Yourself masterclass. And looking forward to that, because that's going to allow an opportunity for anybody who needs practice with interviews, because maybe you are getting job interviews, but you're still not landing a job. So all of these are pay what you can workshops. They start at $10. And so if you feel like you can give more, we want you to do it, because it allows us to continue to do the work that we're doing. All right. And then I have some other great things that I'm going to share with you towards the end of this, about a very special event that's taking place this weekend. Registration is free. But we're going to jump tonight into just some of the questions that have been submitted over the past week. It's about 3 or 4 questions that people have submitted over the past week in terms of what they are looking for. So here is the first question. This came to me from Zach. Let's get it pulled up here. Question was submitted by Zach. And I'm just getting my screen up. All right. So here's what Zach had to say. All right. Dr. Taylor, I applied for a role at a company that I really admire, but I didn't get selected. And so a new job just came up in a different department. And would it look bad if I applied again? I promise you, I have had this question from clients multiple times. And so it's not, because maybe you were just not a fit for that role, Zach, because it's really such a common question, literally. And in fact, if you had a good relationship with the recruiter for that position, you might want to email them and say, hey, I recognize I didn't get this particular role, but there's another role within the company that I'm interested for. Just remember that when you're passed over for one role, it doesn't mean that they didn't like you. It may just have been that you were not a fit for that particular position. And that's okay. It doesn't keep you from applying for another role in the company, because it might have just been about internal competition. Because remember, we talked about these statistics, in a recent workshop I gave, we talk about statistics where people get weeded out for different reasons. It could be as simple as the resume format. But then you also have to deal with inter-office conflicts, simply because of the fact that, inter-office politics, because some positions, they might already know who they want to put in that position. So I just want to keep in mind, doesn't mean that you were not a good candidate. So here's what I recommend. Before you reapply, again, I want you to try to connect with someone from that company. If you had a good relationship with the recruiter or the person in HR, in terms of just being able to reach out and say, hey, I'm interested in this position, you should go ahead and do that. And then in your cover letter, just really stay focused and emphasize the skills that you have. And you can even put something like, I wasn't selected for the previous opportunity. I appreciated the interaction, remain very excited about contributing to this company, right? And I'm confident that this new role aligns even more closely with my background. So you can bring it up and you can say strategically how you went about that, how you are very interested in working for this company. But again, that's like, okay, I applied once, I didn't get it, so I'm going to apply again, right? But you don't want to put something like that in the resume in your cover letter over and over it. But I encourage you, if this is somewhere you really want to work, keep applying, right? Keep applying, because you'll find the right fit. But also look at other companies, because after so long of applying, right, you're going to want to move on. So yes, you might want to work for this particular company. Keep your mind open and apply for the role at that company. Don't give up, but also be open to other things as well. All right. So hopefully that answers your question, Zach. Okay. It happens all the time. And I'm, again, leverage that relationship with that recruiter or that HR manager who oversees that process, and let them know that you're going to be that you're going to be applying for the role. Listen, the most that people can tell you in any of these processes is simply no. You know what I mean? So what are you missing out on if you ask a question, if you let them know? So it's not that big of a deal. Just reach out and let them know that it's something you're still interested in. All right. So next question that came in was from, hopefully I'm saying your name right, Olifema. And she said that she recently moved to the U.S. after finishing her degree abroad. She's applied for several jobs, but I'm just not sure. She's not sure how to compete with candidates who already have U.S. work experience. Okay, so one of the things I would tell you, and it's not necessarily the job is going to be, I guess if you're applying for academia, you'll usually have your transcripts translated. But in this case, it's just a matter of you being confident, right? Because you might have that same skill set. You just have to be able to show what you're bringing to the table. So it's such a important topic, because so many people, apply and come in from overseas. So how do you manage that process? Transitioning into the U.S. job market, especially now, right, where so many people are unemployed, it comes with its own unique set of challenges, but it's still absolutely possible for you to stand out, because again, what they're going to be looking for is the fact that you actually have the skill set. Then you also come with a global perspective, and you can leverage that as a strength. So don't see that as a weakness. Now, part of what I do is I actually do coaching in English teaching and job prep coaching with clients internationally. I've done this. I've been on these sites where I'm teaching English part-time, but they actually come to me because I'm a career coach, and I end up doing interview prep and supporting them. Listen, one of the things I want you to do is when you go into these job interviews, highlight your global perspective, because you should use that as a strength. And because many employers are just going to be looking for not only that skill set, but what you bring into the table in terms of diverse perspective, thinking, your level of adaptability, and that cross-cultural perspective. So that can be seen as an asset. So this is beyond all of the paperwork and stuff that you're going to have to do to even qualify for that position. But I don't want you to think, okay, just because I'm from another country, that I'm not going to be able to be competitive. Again, a lot of stuff, how you approach things is mindset and level of confidence. The other thing I want you to make sure is that your resume clearly translates your experience into U.S. terminology. For example, don't assume that the job titles or the education systems or the projects. So that's why I say, go ahead and have your courses translated to what would be the equivalency. Like when I worked as a dean, if I hired candidates who maybe went to a foreign institution, they would just simply get the pay to have the transcript translated to what will be the equivalent in American degree, and you can from a U.S. university, and then you can actually list that on your college on your actual resume. Okay. Also, I want you to understand the power of networking. So reaching out to alumni from your maybe if you did a fellowship or volunteer work, professional organizations that you're a member of. Even there are groups that support international professionals here in the U.S. So even just a few warm introductions can kind of help open doors for you. So don't be intimidated with the process, because again, you bring a different perspective, and you coming from another country, it doesn't necessarily mean that you don't have the skill set. I mean, especially where there are some countries that specifically focus on developing those scientific or whatever it is, a specific skill set to specialize in areas. So don't undersell yourself, be confident, and then also just make sure that you are able to demonstrate the value that you're bringing to the table. Okay. But you probably have it. But again, if you're not confident about what you do, people are going to pick up on that. All right. So we're moving along here. We're not going to be on long tonight. Okay. This is a little bit different type of question, because that we do focus on workplace resiliency. So this question came in. I'm not going to say his name, but he says, "Hey, Dr. Taylor, I've been at my job for about 6 months, and it's a toxic environment. And so my manager constantly is shifting expectations." I've definitely been there. And I'm sure that those of us who have the more experience we get in our careers, you may have experienced a toxic boss and maybe felt like you were not supported. So in this particular instance, this young man is saying, "Hey, it's making me feel anxious, but I'm afraid to leave too soon." Guys, I'm looking in this camera, and I know that the job market is tough, right? And it can be hard to make the decision to leave a job for your mental health. Do what you need to do for your mental health, right? It's not necessarily, it might look bad, but you got to think about the toll this is having on your mental health. So you're in a position where you can do a strategic job search, because you don't have to quit right away. But I'm going to tell you, you're going to have to manage your mental health, because it's going to impact you. So like I said, so many people, they feel trapped in situations like this. And I'm especially sensitive to it because I've experienced it before. But you don't have to feel trapped. You have to remember that work takes up most of your day. Think about it. We're getting up, going to work at 8 o'clock in the morning. We're there to 5 p.m. or whatever time we get off, right? And so there's that little window when we come home, and then we manage our households. What do you have, 3 or 4 hours before you go to bed? If you even have that sometimes, right? So you're at work most of your day. And so I think that one of the things that even though the job market is tough, is that we still don't have to settle. Be careful what you're willing to settle for. So no, you don't have to stick it out. But what I will tell you is that you still are in a position where you can conduct a strategic job search, but don't feel like that you have to stay in a toxic environment. Sometimes you might have to take a position that pays you a little bit less, or maybe the title is different, or maybe you may have to make a move, or you might have to just do something different in transition. But don't close yourself off or feel like that you're stuck somewhere because I've only been there 6 months. That's not a good look. It is what it is. If you get a better opportunity, take it, because work takes up most of your day. And we got to remember that we deserve a healthy and happy life. And so you deserve to be happy in the space that you're in. Okay. I want to just kind of point out here, when you go to an interview, you don't have to bash your current employer. So you can always look for a next and better opportunity. And when they ask you about it, just say, "I'm seeking a role that aligns more closely with my values around communication, clarity, and team support." Like, you can word this when you're doing interviews in a strategic way where it's like, okay, honestly, it's a cultural fit, right? You want to be in an environment where you're a cultural fit. I can go on and on about this because when I talk about workplace resiliency, I'm so passionate about the fact that you deserve to be happy in your workplace. You might not be working your dream job right away, but since you have to get up and deal with people and engage with them at least 8 to 10 hours of your day, you want to be happy in that space. Okay. All right. So just remember that leaving a toxic work environment, it isn't a red flag. It's about boundaries. And just because this job market is tough, it doesn't mean that you are not allowed to have boundaries. Your mental health is important. And so you need to be able to manage that in the process. All right. So I'm going to answer one more question. And let's see. And so some of you will come back and you'll watch the replay of this. And you can feel free to continue to submit questions to us at success@work.com. All right. So Shira, she just relocated to a new city, and she's saying that she does not have any professional connections, and she's been applying for local roles, but she feels like she's getting overlooked. Okay. So she wants to stand out, be able to stand out. So listen, I don't know everybody's situation. I always say that if it's possible and you're going to be relocating to a new city, to try to plan ahead, right, and start the job search process and then have something in place before you get there, because it can be hard to land and then try to figure things out. But I don't know everybody's life. You may have had to move in an emergency or, just make this unexpected move. So here's the thing, because relocating itself is a huge transition. And so it's going to already come with this share of challenges, right? And this is why I say, you want to be as prepared as possible. So here's a couple of things I'm going to recommend for you. So I want you to join local LinkedIn groups, because that's free. You can go on your LinkedIn profile and you can join networking groups that are in your area. Look for Facebook groups. There are professional Facebook groups. There are groups like on meetup.com. A lot of this stuff is free. All right. So you can join local groups for free. Again, LinkedIn, active Facebook groups that are focused on, job connection or community. And then also meetup.com. There's a lot of professional groups in meetup.com. And I want you to join also professional associations in your industry, and then if you get that connection, maybe through volunteering, because again, I don't know what pace you're moving at here, but maybe you're volunteering and you start to develop a reputation for yourself, and then somebody can give you a referral. Now, also in your resume and your cover letter, I want you to make it clear that you've already relocated here, because you may have gone about the process of trying to secure a role before you got to the area, but maybe it was some of that hesitancy to hire you right away because of the fact that you were not here. So you can say something like recently relocated to the area, okay? And that'll help to kind of clear up any confusion around, you already being in the area. And then the last thing that I want to tell you is I want you to, again, don't overlook those volunteer opportunities or creative ways for you to really connect and people to be able to know your work ethic, again, through volunteering, or just know a little bit more about your personality by doing in-person events. So the first thing I gave you was like go online, but I also, again, don't want you to overlook the fact that you can join those groups like Meetup. You might do some Facebook networking events, but again, pay attention to the people who are members of the group, because you always want to be safe, and join local chapters of professional organizations so that you can be active. You can continue to learn, but you can also make some connections that will give you a referral. All right. So we've gone about 20 minutes here, and I'm never going to do these long. So I only had 4 questions tonight. And so I'm just going to stop there. And so I want to just tell you a little bit again about some of the things that we have coming up. And so if you come back and watch this, our Beat the Bot workshops, they run free every week. And we're going to be doing those up until our October 13th date. We're going to transition to something else, but we are having another so this is October 13th is Christopher Columbus Day. So this is Discover Yourself Career Day for Work Solutions. And so we are running a special, again, similar to what we did on September 1st for Labor Day, where you can pay what you can. All right. If you pay for it, I will be there. It's a minimum of $10 per workshop, or I think we're going to do a bundle where you can get all 3 for $27. But this is just to help you kind of make that start in your career. Kind of get on the right footing at an affordable and accessible level. Another thing that we have coming up, I was recently added to a event, and I'm so excited because this was such a great interview. Purpose to Prosperity. And this is fantastic because she has over 15 people coming in to speak. And if you find yourself in career transition, this is a faith-based event, but you're going to be able to access the recordings and you're going to be able to play it at your own pace. And you're going to be able to pick and choose who you listen to. But I'm going to encourage you to listen to all of the individuals who are speakers because they're all sharing expertise to help you to, again, focus on finding your purpose, supporting you in transition. We did a very practical interview where I talked about keeping your faith and staying grounded in the process of career transitioning, and just sharing some tips for like updating your career branding. So this is going to be a great event. We've shared it with all of our networks, so we hope to see you there. And here's what I'm going to do. I'm actually going to, if you're listening in, I'm actually going to drop in the chat. I'm going to drop the link, and just remember that registration is free. And then we're going to pin the link for to our YouTube page for whenever this post, if you come back and you listen to this little short Meet the Career, Ask a Career Coach event, the link is there and you can register. This is going to be going on through Sunday, September 14th. All of these awesome speakers that are part of this lineup. And then finally, I always have to mention our career course bundle, okay? I want you to remember that we make this bundle accessible for $147 because maybe you're not ready to jump in right away with Dr. Taylor. But I want you to remember that Brace for Success, our self-paced career branding bundle, we've now updated it. And now you have an opportunity to meet with me twice for our one-on-one career coaching session. And we're going to go through all of your documents, and then you will make corrections, and then you'll come back. And we're going to make sure that you are good to go when it comes to going out there and conducting a job search and being confident in who you are. So that's like a starter package with us, but use it correctly, and all you'll need is just a little bit of tweaking. So thanks, guys, for tuning in. If you come back again and you watch this replay, take advantage of all of the support that we were able to provide and advice, and then be sure to click on the link for Purpose to Prosperity. All right, have a wonderful night. We'll see you guys again in 2 weeks.